which is what I really enjoyed about the process of working with it. Is I always liked working with traditional watercolors, but was afraid I wasn't going to be able to use some of these other techniques, and they actually work really well with the coffee. So they even do the, your scratch in. The principle here is that you make a mark or a scratch in the actual paper, and what it does is it takes and it grabs the pigment, and you end up getting nice lines and pieces. So then you can go back, and again, this is just what I'm drinking here out of the top. I'm going to mix it.
You can't put cream.
Oh,
No cream in this coffee.
No, I don't. That's right. I do not use cream. No sugar. But that was one of the other things too. Is that I found out that in the, in the Renaissance time, they had discovered that all the watercolor paints that they would make back in those days, they used just simply gum arabic and a pigment, and they'd mix it up, which then was their paint. But every night, the paint would harden up to a rock, and they would have to get up in the morning and grind it all out, and then mix new gum arabic to it so they could paint with it. Well, they discovered that if you use a little bit of honey, put honey in it, honey doesn't really mold, okay? It's kind of an organic thing that doesn't really mold. And they would mix honey in with it, and then it would keep the paint soft. So the next day, they wouldn't have to rub so hard and use it. But anyway, you can take this then and use the wet on wet kind of principle where while the paper is still damp, I can touch it with some darker paint, and you get that kind of, fuzzy, what are those things called, foxtails? Soft. Right. It pulls, the paper is still a little damp, so it grabs what's on the paintbrush off, pulls it off, but it sort of gives a feathery star edge to it. So, you have it. I'll draw here in a little bit. And it'll smell like coffee a long time. So, the other thing you notice is that you have to sort of notice that it gets darker, it soaks down into the paper, the water disappears, which is sort of giving you a shine, and as the water disappears, you actually see more of the tone. So one of the things I sort of had to get used to is, when I lay the color on the paper, I know it's going to get a little darker as I continue to work. Yeah? Let's lay some stuff down in the bottom edge now.
I was going to say, you have to let parts of it dry out before you
Well,
add another.
it's just like watercolor in any other sense.
Right.
Sometimes,
Right.
Sometimes you want that fuzzy edge.
Right.
Like what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and lay some of these bushes that are down here in the bottom, and then we'll play around a little bit with that. We'll do some palette knife work with it and so forth. But yeah, I just know that if I wanted to put some branches or some trees maybe in the background, now would be the time that I could do that and actually have it spread and make that kind of fuzzy edge. Thank you. The corner's over here. Yeah. No breakage. Sorry. I won't forget those are there now. But this same kind of principle here, where you can go back and work it just like normal watercolor, wet on wet. Let the coffee start to dry, but before it's completely dry, go back and put more color on and let it absorb to get a fuzzy edge. I'll move it that way.
Don't hit it, Dad.
The tentacles will get me for sure.
Dad.
All right, so. Hold on a second. Good stuff. Okay.